Cool. Okay. Right. So good afternoon to everybody who is here, either in person or online. Thanks for being here, guys. Yeah. So again, trying to start on time. I was able to go for my son and come back and make it back relatively on time. All right. So we're gonna start very soon. All right. So we have some space on this particular sheet to put it in 15 paper. 2015 was the first time, at least with PoA, where they use space on the paper itself to work. Huh? Get a separate booklet. Because if you live in the second or she. Alright, thank you. Where's my ties? Nyla Marie, good afternoon. How you doing? Oh no, crap. That's right. Alright. Hey Matthias, good afternoon. How you doing? So we'll leave these spaces open for those who may jump in. All right, so folks, good afternoon once again. All right, on Monday we started looking at cooperatives, right? So we said a cooperative, or sometimes called a cooperative society, is a non-profit or not-for-profit organization, but it resembles a limited liability company a lot because they issue shares to raise capital. They also pay their shareholders dividends, and they make use of an appropriation account to show that distribution of profits. So they have the dividends and also transfers to reserves and other things like that, right? We got into some quote-unquote theory behind the cooperatives, as in the essential features, right? We're not going to go back too much into that. Okay. Right, so we did the 2010 question, right? So as you can see, we have some journal entries to record the issue of shares, share capital, issue of shares and the subsequent receipt of share capital, right? We have little calculations to do sometimes. We also have the appropriation account, which in this case they call the appropriation of profits account, right? So we had this thing called surplus. So surplus is what they call their profit, although as the name of the statement implies, what does it say? Appropriation of what? Of profits. Right, so to me, there's a bit of an inconsistency with respect to the labeling of these things, right? But again, we'll let it slide for now. All right. So here we saw that they added the current year's surplus or profit to the undistributed surplus, or what we normally know as retained earnings or retained profits brought forward. They then distributed that or appropriated it based on percentages given in the question. Then there were a couple of extra calculations thereafter, right? We did another one for May 2011. Right, and again, we had some journal entries. They had some registration fees, and they had some shares, and then they had another same thing here. We had the current year surplus plus the previous year's undistributed surplus, and we had appropriations. Two of them were based as on a percentage of the available surplus, and the other two, one was something called a patronage refund, which we said is like Massey giving you Massey points when you shop, right? So they're giving like almost like a refund. I understand everything from the last time, so yeah.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Right, and then the dividends were based on as a percentage of share capital as opposed to available surplus, right? So we then did a third appropriation account. Well, technically it would have been your second because the first one I would have done for you as an example, all right? And then we had a bit of an extract of the capital section, right? So we have the share capital, we have the reserves, right? So these balances were kind of pulled from here, 53.7, 26.850, which is actually half of that. And then the closing undistributed surplus. Right? And then we have total share capital and reserves, right? So we're going to kind of continue in that vein today. So remember, with cooperatives, they are basically limited companies, but non-profit versions of that, right? And we have owners called members who have to receive dividends, right? Sorry. Cool. Yeah, and the question basically gives you the percentages, right? In the earlies, it'll be relatively easy. You can pick it apart, right? And there's one particular question I actually had to remake a video for on YouTube because I did it wrong the first time. All right. Okay. So okay, no problem. We did 50 housewives already. We did Roseau. Right. So we're going to be doing veggie lands. So let's confirm you guys have veggie lands, please. All right, cool. Well, here's Anissa. All right. Hey, good afternoon, Anissa. How are you doing today? Good to see you on. All right. Okay, cool. So we're now going to starting so you haven't missed anything. Right, so the Veggie Lands Farmers Cooperative provides the following information about its operations for the year ended 31st December 2014. Okay, so we have share capital of 500,000 was originally sold to members at $5 each. So this number here is not the number of shares. This here is the total value of share capital. So they sold shares to raise a total of $500,000, and each share was sold at $5 each. So quick question, how many $5 shares do I have to sell or issue to raise $500,000? 100,000. How did I get that? Take the 500,000 and divide by the 5. All right. Then we have here the sorry, one sec. Give me a sec. Let me see if I could fix that. Right. Right. The surplus for the year totals 65,000 and was earned from a total sales of 350. Okay, so sales was 350 and the surplus, or what we would normally call profit, is 65,000. And again, remember, because it's a non-profit or not-for-profit organization, some of the terminology will be different, right? Because they're not out to earn profit, so we don't call it profit. Although you'll see that word slipping from time to time, as we've seen before. And the undistributed surplus, or as we alternatively know it, the retained earnings from previous years amounted to 125,000. Now, it says that the cooperative plans to share its what? What is this phrase here? It's total surplus. How do we get total surplus? The current year surplus plus the undistributed surplus brought forward. So you're going to start off by adding those two, 65 plus the 125. And then the plan is to share as follows. So firstly, you have dividends of 50 cents per share to be paid to existing shareholders. So this 50 cents per share is not based on the available surplus, as in a percentage of it. It's based on the number of shares and a dividend paid based on that number. So it's 50 cents per share. Didn't we just work out how many shares we had to issue? How much you said? 100,000. So it multiplied 0.5 by 100,000 to find out the dollar value of the dividend you are distributing. Next, so 20% to be transferred to the members' educational fund. Right, so that's 20% of the total available surplus. Then we have 5% of total sales to be paid to members as patronage refund. So remember we said this is 5% of what? Total sales. And they gave that to us up here. So this figure will be 5% of the 350. Remember we said patronage refunds is like a kind of cashback reward that we give to our members for buying at our store or using our facilities, whatever the case is. And then finally, you have a 30% to be transferred to a disaster relief fund. So that's 30% of total available surplus. Right. Hold on. Right, so this was 11 marks, right? So you headed up Veggie Lands Farmers Cooperative appropriation account for the year ended 31st December 2014. You're starting with your current year surplus plus your undistributed surplus brought forward to give you a total available surplus. And then you're making your 4 appropriations and you're subtracting that from the total available. And what you have remaining is your undistributed surplus carried forward. All right, okay, cool. So it's 11 minutes, so you're supposed to take about 10 to 50 minutes there. All right? So start off by heading up, find the total available surplus, and we'll go from there. I will do something around the same. Actually, I could leave that open for the while. See that? Oh, hold on. Whole head block in that piece. All right, this one. I'll move this further. Oh, there's Aliana. Okay, people coming and going. All right. Hey, good afternoon, Aliana. How you doing? All right. We now started working on the question on the screen. We talked through it already, so you can take a read through. We're doing an appropriation account for this cooperative. All right, so Aliana is here. I saw Anissa popping. Jada said she can't make it to class today. I think her dad told me as much. Right, until the just popped in as well. So we're missing Shiraz, Noah, and Aisha. All right, so hopefully they reach soon. Sooner rather than later. We'll see. I'm just going to shift the info to the top and put my thing below to head it up, right? So I'm not starting the solution yet. I'm just making space for when I'm ready to start, right? That's a little small. Could read it. No, it was May 15. So for the first couple items, right? So let me actually go in here a little bit more. Yeah. So you start with the current year surplus of 65,000. So current year surplus. Add the distributed surplus brought forward. Right, and that is the total available surplus, which we will then appropriate. Yep. Right, so this says 50 cents per share. Right? The top line here says the share capital of $500,000 was originally sold to members at 5 each. So this 500,000, to raise $500,000 by selling shares, and each share you're selling for $5, total number of shares is formed by dividing $500,000 in total divided by $5 per share give us 100,000 shares. And then multiplying that by the dividend payout per share. So 100,000 by 0.5. Yo. That's not a problem. I may have done that Monday too, so who knows? Right. Hey, good afternoon, Aisha. How are you doing? Good to have you on. Yeah, we're kind of in progress there. This is the 2015 May cooperatives question. It's called Vigilance Cooperative. Right, so I just kind of started off the appropriation account here. The 4 items to like the middle of the screen, well, the top half, the bottom of the top half of the screen, right? Those items are the appropriations you're making. All right, so you have about 6 to 7 minutes again to finish, right? And of course, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask. You're not under exam conditions, right? Those will come soon enough. We start to revise some mock on these things. All right, so I'll give you a couple minutes again, but let's do the first one now. Less appropriation. So hold on, let me just shift across some stuff here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, so we had the dividends. So we said that it was 50 cents per share. So you have to multiply 50 cents, which is 0.50, multiply by the number of shares. So we said that $500,000 worth of share capital was raised by selling shares of $5 each. So what would happen is you get 100,000 shares here, and when they multiply by 0.5, you would get 50,000. Right? So, sorry. Right. And this next one, 20% to be transferred to the members' educational fund. Okay. Right. TAS is total available surplus. There's more room in there, so it's not as close together. Right. Then we had 5% of total sales to be paid as patronage refunds. Right. So total sales on the top here was 350. So it's 5% of that. Right. So patronage refund. So 5% of 50. The last thing is that 30% to be transferred to a disaster relief fund. Right, so that's 30% of, again, total available surplus. Okay, add up all those. You have 162.5, which means you're probably got 27.5 left. Right, and 27.5 is the undistributed surplus. Carried forward. Sorry, carried forward. Okay, so I'll maximize this. I'll highlight it for good measure. Okay. In class, people, how are you feeling with that? Any questions? Anybody? Anything? Problems? Okay. Google Meet, you know the drill. So that's Aisha, Liana, who else? It's 10 earlier? Okay. I wouldn't wait to call any names. But same thing. Please and thanks. Okay, 9. Okay, 9 are you all? Alright, last person when you're ready. Okay. Alright, now there is another part to this question. Sorry. Give me 1 second. Let me just send a couple of pics in the chat real quick. Whew. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 out of 10. Okay, cool. Right, so that is the 2015 me. Right, so like I was saying, there is another part of the question where they want, sorry, oh no, it's the next question, but here they want you to do the capital section only, right? So we did something like that already on Wednesday, but since we are in kind of, we now started and we kind of doing the, what you call it, the appropriation account, I want to kind of stay with the appropriation account for now. So we will come back to that question just now. All right, so I have a next question here. I'm going to print out for those in class. All right, so it has 2 pages to it. Right, so there was 9 people this time, right? Okay, cool. All right, so I will put the information back on the screen so it's visible to all. Oh, ooh. Hold on. All right, give me a minute. Let me just get this stuff printed out and we'll strategize how to put what's up on the screen. Okay. Oh, it's still not gonna fit. Crap. Oh, wait, no, I know what to do. Right, so the first thing we have to do is an appropriation account. Right, that's all we need. Okay. All right, guys. For the money, actually, I'm gonna give out the hard copies to those in class. Question paper and sheet. All right, let's take a little brief read through the question to see what they want us to do and what information we'll use to do it. All right, so Delco High School has 1,650 students who were all members of the Delco High School Cooperative. Interesting. Each student member purchased 10 shares at a cost of $10 per share. So that's interesting there. They each purchased 10 shares at a cost of 10 per share. So how much money did each person spend? $110 per share and 10 shares each as 100. So to find total share capital, you'll multiply that 100 by 1650. Right? Each of those 1,650 people contributed $100. 10 shares at $10 each. So to find the total capital, you'll multiply those 3 things together. Which, yeah, should be 165,000. Yeah. Okay. So we have undistributed surplus at the start of the year, 7,450. Surplus made for the year is 21,000. Additional information, sorry. Inventory of ungoods sold, that's closing stock, not relevant right now. General expenses were unpaid as an accrual. Interest due on investments total this. That's like an accrual, an accrued revenue, okay? Board of Management decided to transfer the surplus made for the year to two reserves as follows. 20% to statutory reserve and 10% to education. And dividends will be paid on members' shares at a rate of 5% of their investment. Okay. I want you to pay attention to a phrase here, which is this phrase. So the Board of Management decided to transfer, what does it say here? From the surplus made for the year. So which of these two figures, or is it the combination of them, will give us the surplus made for the year? 21,000. So this figure here is only going to be appropriate out of this figure here. All right, so the inventory, the closing stock is 8,000. That goes in the balance sheet. General expenses were unpaid. An unpaid expense is also called a what expense? Give it an A. An accrued expense, right? And it goes in the current liability section in the balance sheet. Right? Interest due on investments, 75.24. So that sounds like money owed to you. So that's like a receivable. The first one, inventory of goods valued at 800. That's closing stock. Yeah, sorry, my power cut. I only had like about 2 to 3 hours sleep last night, so it's starting to kind of kick in there. All right. Now, it says here the Board of Management decided to transfer from surplus. So surplus for the current year only, right? 20% to statutory, 10% education. And dividends are to be paid on members' shares at a rate of 5% of the investment. Right. So you're finding 5% of the total value of share capital. To calculate that, you have to go on top here. Remember 1650 students, each purchase 10 shares at $10, right? 10 by 10 is 100, and 1650 by 100 is 165,000. So 10% of that is to be paid to member shares. Sorry, guys, I had to take a walk. I think I'm saying foolishness here. And it's because I'm sleepy and I've fallen asleep. So sorry. So start off by doing the following. Heading up Delca High School appropriation account for the year ended 31 December 2015. Start with your surplus made for the year. Do your appropriations out of that. And you only have two, right? The 20% is statutory reserve, 10% education, and dividends. We have to calculate those dividends based on the information in the first paragraph up here. All right, so while you're working at, which is 4:4, okay, so by 4:55 we're done. I'm gonna take a little walk upstairs just to get some water and come back because this we have an hour and 20 minutes to go, so I can't lock off because I'm sleepy. Arrows. Any appropriation at all, we share not the profit on surplus, right? So this is current year surplus, and this would remain from the previous year. Yeah. And it says we said the transfer from the surplus of the year. So in the previous question, we added these together before we started making the sharing, right? But here it's specifying to transfer from the surplus made from the year, which is just this piece. So you're starting here, you're making these three appropriations, which means subtracting each of those from the 21, and whatever you have left, you're going to add this. 20% of this comes from this. Yeah. But this one here is 5% of. Correct. Find some sugar-laden stuff, so not the healthiest, but it will actually matter. What some people do is they just think of this way and then subtract all of them. What other people do? You can put it here. And you can put, yeah, and you can add up. You can add them up first, and then you subtract them after. Okay. Let's. All right. So this is the which year is this? 2016 me. Oh, so Cooperatives came 2 years in a row. Interesting. So 2016 May. Delco High School. Right. Delco High School. Appropriation account for the year ended 31 December 2015. Okay, I guess we could zoom out. Don't need 270, so 220 is fine. Right, so the question did say that the Board of Management decided to transfer from the surplus made for the year. So in this particular case, we weren't going to add these two. We were only going to take them from the 21,000. In such a case, what would happen is the appropriations would be made first, and then whatever is remaining would be added to the undistributed surplus brought forward. I'll show you, right? So surplus made for the year is 21,000, right? Less appropriations. Right, so we had a few. 20% is statutory reserve fund, right? So transferred statutory reserve fund, right? So 20% transfer to education fund. How much? 10%? Right. Is equal to multiply by 5.2. 10% is half of that, right? And then dividends are to be paid on member shares at a rate of 5% of their investment. So what does that mean? Right, at the top here, Delco High School had 1,650 students, and each student member purchased 10 shares at a cost of $10 per share. Right, so each student invested $100, right? Dividends. So the dividend rate is 5%. 5% of their investment, 5% of 1650. Sorry. Dividends, right? So 5% of, right? So 1650 multiplied by 10 shares multiplied by $10 per share. Right, okay, cool. So 5% of 1650 by 10 by 10, right, 8250. So we're going to add up those three items now, get 14,550. I'm going to subtract that figure from the 21,000. That'll give us, was that 6450? Ah, there you go. Right, and this is the undistributed surplus for the year. And to that, we're going to add the undistributed surplus brought forward of 7450. Undistributed surplus brought forward 7450. And this is undistributed surplus carried forward. Right. Add those two together and we're good to go. Right, so let's maximize that and see what we have. Let's see if we could actually shift across some of these things now. Right, so surplus is 21. We appropriate out of that surplus, transfer to statutory reserve fund, 20%, right? Transfer to education fund, 10%, right? Dividends, 5% of 1650 by 100. Right, add these three appropriations, total to that, take that away from the surplus for the year, and we have the undistributed surplus for the current year, to which we add the undistributed surplus brought forward from last year, and we have the new undistributed surplus carried forward to next year. All right. I'll take a picture. Oh, any questions, problems, issues, queries, any errors you find there? Anything? Anybody? Really hard when to get through with it. All right, cool. Logan, how it went? Yeah, cool. Mikhail, talk to me good. All right, Paige. Yeah, I see some people. They power cut. I know how they feel. All right. Kelsey, Valentino, you're feeling with that there. Yeah. Okay. All right. Google Meet. You know the drill. If you guys are good with that, just kindly give me a G in the chat, please and thanks. All right. If of course you need me to re-explain, give me an R. I'll be happy to help you. It's not a problem. No. No. Don't have anybody to teach. I know some of them boys are doing the January exam. It was like 1 or 2, so like that makes sense. All right, so 8 out of 10, not bad. Okay, cool. So did I send the pic yet? No, I don't think I did. So let me send the pic in the chat. Yeah. Right. So the latter. You just have to know everything. Yeah. During the pandemic, they released the broad topics, which basically was like the whole syllabus minus 1 or 2 things. So I know who they was fooling, but no, I have an Excel sheet that I use to keep track of all the topics that come every year. There's no discernible pattern. I might plug it into AI. I might plug it into Microsoft AI, into Google Gemini and ChatGPT and see if I can find a pattern. But and I'll have to do it like for like the 20 years, then 10, the last 10, the first 10, that kind of thing. Or every odd year, or just me alone. But no, if anybody had asked me like prior to 2021, I would say partnerships comes on almost every paper every year. Few and far between. You would not find a paper with partnerships on it prior to 2020. It hasn't come as often since 2021, but it comes every now and again. You saw a couple more income statements and balance sheet with adjustments. The absorption costing came the first time they brought it, they messed it up. The second time was better. Budgets came here and there. No discernible pattern. So you had to know wherever the syllabus is. Which to me, I mean, yeah. But then if that's the case, then they should test everything. They should cut off some stuff from the syllabus, cut the multiple choice and replace it with a short answer paper. But that's a whole different discussion for a different time. It's a waste of time. All the answers are out already. People know where to find them. So the integrity of the exams is compromised for years now. But they pretend that they don't know. No, it's not okay. And it's not an effective way to really measure anything. Anyhow, right. So that's that piece there. Cool. Right, that was Delca. Liontown is a little more. Oh, right. So they have a balance sheet that they want you to do, like a whole full balance sheet. But we'll come back to that. I think I might want you all to do just the capital section. No, I don't like this one. Hold on. All that? All this just blank pages after. Oh, this was the only error. Okay, so no, we're not doing this one. This was another balance sheet. Get a trial balance first. Oh, that was it. Oh, okay. Hold on, sorry, give me 1 sec. Let me check set 3. Oh, these are some old ones. All right, cool. But these might be nice to do as well. Capital section. Balance sheet. Okay, all right. So I think I know what we're doing. All right, so what we're going to do, we're going to take a review of something we did on Monday, which was the capital section of this balance sheet here, Rosso, right? So the capital section of what you call it, a cooperative's balance sheet shows share capital and reserves, right? Now, in this question here, right? So hold on, let me pull up the solution so we could kind of talk through it same speed. This was 2011, no, 2012, sorry, right? Right. So in Roseau Valley Farmers, right? They had 8,000 farmers who each contributed $20 to the purchase of shares. Okay, so if 8,000 farmers each gave $20, how would we work out the total amount of capital contributed? We would multiply 8,000 by 20, right? So that was this item down here, 8,000 by 20 the share capital. Now, the reserves. So the reserves can usually be found in conjunction, well, apart from the information here, in conjunction with the appropriation account, right? Now, these two items in the middle here, right? 20% to be transferred to a statutory reserve fund, 10% to an education fund, right? And then on top of that, you also have to remember the undistributed surplus is also a reserve, right? So here, the statutory reserve was 53.7, right? Education was 26,850, and then this 95,150 was the undistributed surplus, right? So what I'm gonna do, let's put that on top. Let's put this below. All right, so we're gonna zoom in here. Okay, go a little more than that. Okay, a little less, right? Right, so again, the statutory reserve fund, right, the education fund, and the undistributed surplus at end. Right, so those three things. Now, if we look, sorry, yeah, right. So if we look down here now, in the capital section of the balance sheet, you'll see the same 53.7 from on top of here, right? You'll see the 26,850 here, and you'll see 95,150 here, right? All each of which are a reserve. When you add those up, you get the sub total for the section, and you add that to your share capital. And again, the share capital was found by multiplying the number of farmers and how much they each contributed towards the purchase of shares. And there was no other information in the question about changes in the value of share capital. And you just add those two. So you add in share capital and then the total reserves. Right. Okay. So with that now, what I want to do is I want to go to, right, flatlands. Okay. So flatlands, we worked, sorry, no, we didn't work flatlands yet, right? Right, so with flatlands now, so let me print this out for those in class 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right, cool. So current view. No, current page. Right, that's fine. Right, so while that's printing, just take a look. So it's sister core. So this was the follow-up to Veggielands. Right, I know I had a connection. Veggielands, right. Right, so we're going to be working, for the rest of the class, we're going to be working some capital section of the balance sheet, and this will lead into Friday where we're doing the whole balance sheet, right? And some little miscellaneous parts too. Yeah, a while to wait. Okay, so let's take a read. So a sister cooperative, Flatlands Cane Farmers Cooperative, presented the following balances for its financial year ended 31st December 2014. Sorry, just checking the volume level there. Okay, Josh. Josh, yeah, I thought it was an expense too, but I have since been told that it is an appropriation. This was not a topic I did in school when I was a student, so it was new to me. I didn't have much to go on, so I just got bits and pieces. I got a text, and it said to put it in the appropriation section. Amelia, this is PoA. That is correct. Yes. Yeah. So I haven't gotten to honorarium here with my class just yet. We did some appropriation stuff just now, and we're gonna do some balance sheet stuff, the capital section. So feel free to chime in. Right. Okay, so balances for the financial year end 31st December 2014. Right. So we have the building at cost, the investment in Veggielands Farmer Cooperative. Aha! Ordinary share capital, undistributed surplus, right? Long-term loans to members, interest revenue outstanding from loans, accumulated depreciation in building, equipment rental fees receivable, inventories, members welfare fund and flood relief fund. Okay, cool. Now this section here is for 4 marks, and I find I give you plenty space for 4 marks. So there are only 4 things that are going to go inside of here. Your ordinary share capital. So you're gonna head up, because look what they're asking you for. The cooperative balance sheet extract for the capital section only, right? And it shouldn't say for the year ended. We all know balance sheets are drawn up as at a particular date, all right? So we know from what we just saw, we're gonna start up by saying share capital, 200,000. Then they're gonna head up reserves. What's gonna go in that reserve section? We have 3 items here, right? We have the undistributed surplus, which usually goes last, and we have the 2 funds, right? The members welfare fund and the flood relief fund, right? So again, what I want you to do, head up, Flatlands Cane Farmers Cooperative, balance sheet extract as at, not for the year ended, as at 31st December 2014. You're going to put capital section, you're going to start with the ordinary share capital, then you're going to head up reserves. So much like what we did across here, your share capital and your reserves, right? So what I'll do is I'll leave that example below, right? Right, so put it on top. We'll put this. All right, cool. Right. All right, so basically using the format below, but the information above, right? So not the building, not the investment in Veggielands Cooperative, no, just the ordinary share capital and the other items boxed off in red, right? Those are the items, as you can see, that'll kind of go inside of here. All right, so I'll give you a few minutes to organize that, then we'll go on to our next one, and then that's how we'll go. Let's see what we can up. So this is, hold on, this is which one again? 2015 May. Okay, so 2015 May. Right. So part B, flatland farmers. Fault. Flatland keen farmers. Right, so flatland. Right, balance sheet extract. As at. Okay, so let's just clear out some stuff here, shall we? Okay, cool. So again, we're gonna start with the share capital. So the capital section, so it says, let's just say financed by share capital and reserves. Okay, cool. So your share capital is given to you, or you can even just put ordinary share capital, sorry. Right, that's 200,000, right? And from there we have the reserves, sorry, right? And then your reserves, you have your members welfare fund and the flood relief fund. So we have 40,000, we have 95,000, and don't forget we have the undistributed surplus. That's the one plenty people forget, right? And that's it. So you just have to add it up. Okay, subtotal, add it to the share capital. Right, and we have total share capital and reserves. Cool. Right, so we'll box that stuff. Right, we'll put a heavy here, here, and here. Cool. And this one we'll highlight. Right, so this is the part B, right, which is the Flatlands Cane Farmers Cooperative balance sheet extract. Okay, in class, people, are we okay with that? Any questions, anybody, anything? All right, Google Meet, if you guys are good with that, just kindly give me a G in the chat, please and thanks. If you need me to re-explain anything, that's not a problem, just let me know. Yeah. Yeah, 26. All right, cool. Hey, Lisa, you come back. Good to see you. All right, cool. So that's Flatlands Farmers Cooperative, Cane Farmers Cooperative, right? So that was the balance sheet extract. So we go in the next one. All right. Let's maximize here for a second. Sorry, I'm trying to get rid of that stuff. Right. So Flatlands was the last question on this one. Oh, that's another. Okay, we'll come back to that. That's the only part of that interesting. Right. Right, so they wanted the whole balance sheet for Delca. Right, so you'll already have Delca's information, right? So I will print out the spacing, the table, right? But what we're gonna do, we're not gonna do the whole balance sheet, right? We're just going to do the capital section, right? We'll come back to the whole balance sheet probably on Friday, but I'm just trying to get you all accustomed to that, this particular section initially, right? Hold on, the Delca I wanted to do, boy. Yeah, it was. Soltec. No, it was Soltec. Okay, we'll come back to Delca. Actually, you know what? We're done here with Delca. We don't have the information, so why not? Because Sortec is easier. All right, so here we'll do. We'll do Sortec and we'll double back and do Delta after. But you can use this format for Sortec. All right, so I'm going to put down Sortec for you guys now. It's a very interesting caricature.
Honestly, Chris, I think that might be the most accurate one.
Current page. Right, so while that printing, actually I'm gonna send a picture of this in the chat as well. Just so you know, this is 2013 May. Right, so don't worry with part one and part two. We're going straight to part three. Draft the balance sheet extract to show the capital section of the balance sheet for Sortec for 1 Jan 2013. So the information here is for 1 Jan 2013. You have 1,500 members. All right. There's a piece of information missing. Anybody seeing share capital there? No. Okay, so here we will do. All right, cool. All right, so each member contributed $100 towards the share capital of Sortec Credit Union, right? So let's see if we can fill it in there. Right, so what I want you to do is just like we did the capital section for the balance sheet for the last two questions there. Well, y'all did one. I did the previous one. I want you to do the same thing here. So we're not going to worry about loans to members, interest outstanding on loan stock, telephone bill unpaid, interest income in advance, long-term investments, net book value, mortgage interest bank. So these last three things here, plus your share capital. So that's all I want you to focus on. So start with the share capital, put these three items in the reserve section, and total everything up. Oh, sorry. Question. We'll come after that. Is it nice on it? Yeah, check in the chat now. this is 2013, me? All right, cool. Right, so 2013, me, version 6A, Sawtech, Credit Union. Right, this one, right. Okay, so Tech Credit Union balance sheet extract as at 1 Jan 2013. Okay, cool. Right, so it's financed by sorry, share capital and reserves. Right, so share capital. Right, so they gave us that they had 1,500 members, but they didn't tell us anything about what they contributed in respect of share capital. So I made up a figure, right? So 1,500 by 100 is 1.5, oh sorry, 150,000, right? And then we have the reserves. Right, so members, welfare fund, education fund, and unappropriated profits, which we know is supposed to say undistributed surplus. So, but we'll leave it, right? That's what they gave to us, so that's what we'll give them back. So 60,000, 30,000, 42,860. Add that together, put that there, and then add those two. Right. We're gonna maximize that. Sorry. Right. Let's put that down there. This one, this one, this one. Right. And I should say total share capital and reserves. Right. Again, you don't have to bold it or anything. I just like to do that these days. Right. And you don't have to indent anything. You can if you want. It's a style choice. It's not mandatory at all. Right. So I'm going to send this in the chat. Okay. Okay. In class, people, are we okay with Sawtech? Any questions? Anybody? Anything? All right. Google Meet. You know the drill. If you guys are good with that, just kindly give me a quick G in the chat, please and thanks. If you need me to re-explain anything, everything, give me a R. Cool. All right, so 8 out of 10 again. All right, so 2 people that are sleeping, boy. Pressure in the dance. All right, cool. So that's Sawtech. Okay, so for pig farmers, we're going to do the same, right? just the capital section. Again, we focusing on this because that's the kind of new part, right? The Pig Farmers Cooperative has a membership of 100 farmers. Each member has 15,000 shares at a price of $1 per share. So they gave us the amount of capital each member has, right? The balances on the books of the cooperative, September 30th, 2008, were as follows. So debtors, inventory, okay, what are we interested in? We are interested in what goes in the share capital and reserve section, right? So the opening paragraph there gives us the information regarding the share capital. Now the reserves, debtors, inventory, net book value, unpaid amounts, provision for bad debts, long-term investments, interest, net book value, mortgage, cash bank, so general reserve, that's it. Have no unappropriated profits. This almost seems not worth doing. Yeah, this is not worth doing. It might make sense to do the whole balance sheet. Goat farmers, boy, let me see. This one real old. They want the horizontal. Oh, this is 2002. 50, 12.5, right? Patronage, investments, long-term loan, reserves. Okay, yeah, this one also not really worth doing just for the capital section. Okay. Okay, so we're going to go back now and go to Delco, right? All right. So we come back to Delco, and I'll give you another format to fill in, right? Okay, so for Delco, we want to do the capital section of the balance sheet. We know the capital section will have the share capital value and the reserves. In the opening paragraph, Delco has 1650 students who are all members. Each student member purchased 10 shares at a cost of 10 per share. So long story short, each of these 1,650 students contributed $100 towards share capital. So we can work out the share capital, right? Now, the items that will go in the other items that will go in the capital section will include the following. All right, so you see the statutory reserve fund, 1 Jan 2015, education reserve fund, 1 Jan 2015, undistributed surplus, that and surplus for the year, right? So what's going on here is that there are opening balances in these accounts. And after the opening balances, we have appropriations made. So for example, you have another transfer to the statutory reserve fund. You have another transfer to the education fund. And then you are doing what you call the appropriation account, which we did already, right? So this is Delco, right? So we transfer in, so hold on, let me actually put this item on the top here and this item below, right? So what we're saying is this, right? The share capital, that's the easy part, 1650 by 100, cool. In the reserve section, you have two reserves plus the undistributed surplus. The first reserve is the statutory reserve fund. The opening balance was 30, and then we sent 4,200 more. So guess how you're going to find the closing balance? If you started with 30,000 and you transferred 4,200 more, how much would you have at end? You added 34,200, right? What about the education fund? You started with 18,200 here, and you transferred 2,100 more. So you're going to add those two together, right? The dividends are amounts paid out. The dividends are not a reserve. They're not a reserve. And then the final item would be the undistributed surplus for the year, 13,900. All right, okay, so organize it. So head up Delco High School Cooperative, balance sheet extract as at 31 December 2015. Put in your share capital first. You have three reserves: the statutory reserve fund, education fund, and the undistributed surplus, which is this item down here. Finish? All right. Oh, all right, no problem. All right, so you're saying no coming Friday? All right, well, enjoy Christmas, and I'll see you next year then. And, well, good luck in January. Let me know if you need any pass with us. All right. Walk from? Oh, well, not far, but it depends on the rain and the sun. So, an umbrella either way would help. And shoes as opposed to slippers. You go be there. Bring him for mats. You're just taking this because remember those figures are already put here, right? So those figures combined will give us the 39. So it's just that 39 figure that goes into the balance sheet in respect of the undistributed surplus.
to the last moment if you could come a little bit. You know, into the, when I figure out reaching down there, like 6 months. Yeah, nobody has come from the
Die PoA F5 progressive account, freeze account.
All right, guys. Let's see if we can do this and maybe finish a little early today. Delta High School balance sheet extract as at 31 December 2015. Right. Follow separate line. Okay, cool. So we have financed by share capital. Sorry. And reserves. All right, so share capital. We had 1,650 students who each contributed, who each bought 10 shares at $10 per share. All right, so 1,650 by 10 by 10, so 165,000, right? And then we have the reserves. All right, so we have the statutory reserve fund, education fund, and the undistributed surplus. Right, so the statutory reserve fund started off at 30,000, and we added an additional 4,200. Right, the education fund started off at 18,002, and we added an additional 2,100. The undistributed surplus, all right, we're just going to pull that figure, that final figure, and then we're going to add those together, pull that across, and add those together, and we're going to get total share capital and reserves. Right, so we'll border that. Cool. Wow. Yeah. They kind of overstretch and they kind of seize up. Yeah. Okay, in class, people, are we okay with the Delta High School balance sheet extract as presented on the screen? Does anybody have any questions on what is there? Kelsey, Valentino, Jaziri, Paige, we okay with on the screen there? Yeah. All right, cool. All right. Jaden, Mikhail, what about you all? Yeah? Okay, talk to me. Yeah, sure. Okay, all right, now okay, Google Meet, if you're good with that, just kind of give me a quick Genie chat, please, and thanks. Each. All right, I got each. Letter G or R. H means huh? I don't know. I know it's a G. I know it's a G. That's painful. All right, cool. So 6 out of 10. 7 out of 10. All right. All right, so folks, we have one more day, which is Friday. Now, please do not duck that day if you could manage to come, because I do want to go through whole balance sheets, and there is a question here. Hold on, let me find it. I think it's one of the more recent ones. Right, okay, yeah. This one, which is Storecraft. Yeah. This one is the one that I actually had to redo a video for, because the first time I did it, I made a mistake. In none of the other questions have we seen honoraria, right? This honoraria thing is an appropriation, but one of the guys on the chat was saying, in one textbook, he saw them put it in the income statement like an expense item, but it's not, right? So that was my mistake, because like I said, I never learned cooperatives as a topic in school. I had to learn it afterwards, right? And it was very limited material, long story short. So when I got some other material, I cross-checked it. So this goes in the appropriation account, right? So yeah, please do come on Friday. We're going to tackle this question. And it does have a bit of complications in this second part here. And it's only 5 marks. So that was the part that was baffling me, right? But after that, we have some full balance sheets to go through. And this item is just a trial balance. So I don't know that we'll do that one. Or we might do the balance sheet thereafter. Okay, anyhow, but that's about it for today. If anybody has any questions and they get to ask during class, please feel free to let me know. All right, okay, so Google Meet, I'll go on there. I'll see you guys on Friday, hopefully. Have a good day. Bye.